everybody, welcome to MIKEroaggress'd. I'm so excited for tonight's show. I've got somebody who is kind of lighting the internet on fire right now, who I just discovered, but is pretty awesome. Thank you so much, Lea. Phemoid. You've got the like Lady Gaga thing going on.
Yeah, Phemoid, Lea, anything.
Any of them? How are you?
I'm so good.
Yeah, enjoying your all your viral stuff right now.
Yeah, I'm trying to enjoy the positive attention. I don't get a ton online, so
Really? Oh, which reminds me, I should have said we're gonna start by us rating our looks on a scale of 1 to 10.
Oh yeah. Let's do it.
Who would ever subject themselves to that?
I don't know. Every time I watched the like whatever clips before I came on, I would see these women rate themselves, and I was just like, why are you answering this? Why are you taking this bait? I'd never seen anyone say no.
Well, and I was thinking, so then I watched this, which we'll get into all this, but I just have to say, I was watching and they're all like, oh, 10, 10. I'm like, I would have been the only asshole there who would have been like, 6.5, maybe.
Well,
myself.
I don't know. The whole thing is just, I mean, the whole reason why he even asks is just so the chat can like make fun of these women, and it just, yeah, it's yucky.
Yeah. Speaking of which, hello to all of our beautiful friends in the chat. Chris, Robert, Dangerous Rhetoric, Kieran, Sean, Daniel, everybody. Don't forget, I'm an aspiring grifter, so help me be a grifter by sending your super chats or becoming a channel member. So yes, for anybody who doesn't know what we're talking about, I'm sure everyone has seen it, but everyone's probably seen the whatever podcast by now, the dating podcast that's out there. And I think why I really wanted to have you on, Lea, is first of all, not just that, but looking through your Twitter, you seem like somebody who's very much not an ideological archetype. Like I looked through all your stuff and I have no idea how to classify you. And I think that's awesome.
Yeah. I'm very all over the place. I think.
I think that's a good thing. I think these sort of labels of left and right are losing all meaning. Hopefully for the people whose brains they haven't rotted.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I consider myself like a staunch lefty for like a really long time until all the gender stuff. And then I was like, this shit's actually way too fucking crazy. And then I was like, well, if the left's wrong about this, then what else? What else is the left wrong about? And so I've just been sort of like politically homeless, but really, not wanting to call myself conservative or like right leaning, because I'm definitely not that either. So.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I used to be a pretty staunch liberal, and then I call myself a Republican now, even though I can't stand 90% of them.
Yeah.
Some people call me conservative, but I don't know. But in terms of you being on the Whatever podcast, I feel like that's something where you really changed my own mind and made me look inward, because I've seen all these clips for so long. I've been that asshole laughing at them, how stupid these people are. And you really kind of made me pause and go, wait, is this really a good thing for the world?
Yeah, I mean, I think his whole thing is his whole thing is like sort of trying to like make fun of degeneracy, right? Like that's his whole the whole MO, the underlying cause is to make fun of these women who are like degenerates, basically. Or people who are dating degenerates or whatever. But it ends up just being it ends up just adding to this like super toxic, woman hating, like incel rhetoric throughout the internet. So I wanted to stick it to him.
So did you go in like knowing you were gonna kind of call them out?
Yeah, so on my Instagram, I actually keep my like internet stuff really compartmentalized, because I'm actually a musician. Well, I'm not going to be able to do that for long, but I'm a musician. I was shouted out by like Billie Eilish. I have like over 20 million streams on like my songs. And so my Instagram is actually quite popular, and it has like a verification symbol, and there's like a bunch of like dolled up pictures of me on it. So I was like, I wonder if I just message him, like he's probably not going to vet me or anything, or I wonder if he will vet me. And he didn't. He had no idea. He thought that I was just like another e-thought he was bringing on. So Yeah, it was. I enjoyed the look of surprise on his face when he realized why I was there. So
I think Front Porch Conservative said it best. You didn't stick it to him. You turned him into a shish kebab.
yeah.
Can I just say, by the way, it is my dream for the. It has been for a while for them to, which I know they'll never do, but to someday have like a gay episode where I can confront the horrible types of homos that they would bring on.
Oh, that would actually be hilarious. I think that he might be scared of gay people, though. I don't think that he'll be come within 10 feet of one, probably.
If you think it's vicious with the women, just wait. There would be hair pulling if they had gays on there.
Oh, listen. I lived in West Hollywood for a second. I know.
Ooh.
I know. I know how it goes.
Thank you so much, Jeremy, for the super chat. I doubt that whatever even practices what he preaches, he just found a way to get paid and he's cashing out. I think we're kind of seeing that with a lot of these people who talk about all these things. I feel like there's kind of a different, it's sort of, with writing, they say show, don't tell. And I think that kind of applies to personhood as well. I think a lot of these people who talk about all these things are often very like Steven Crowder is a perfect example.
Yeah, I think so too. I think even with Brian, who is the whatever guy, he apparently got like divorced pretty recently. So I don't know what the fuck that's all about. He kind of an asshole though. Like he's a total dick. Even
Wait,
like
so that's what I wanted to ask kind of is what was the reaction there when you kind of dropped this bomb? Because if that were me and I was hosting the show, I would think that was awesome. But is that how it went over?
I think, well, no, he was actually I think after I challenged him, he was actually pretty excited to have like a sparring partner. But before that, he was very professional, which I appreciated because there are men who don't try to take advantage of their position with, young women who come on their shows. I've been in this space for a while and there's always a creepy guy trying to like sleep with the people that he works with. And he was very, very, like he had very strong boundaries, which I actually really appreciated. But he was very short. Like he was very short with you whenever you'd ask him a question or something. And I was like, wow, 5-hour podcast. What if I want to leave before? And he got like really angry. He was like, that would be he was just sort of a dick. He was just sort of a dick. But in like in a good way. I don't know. I really do think that it is somewhat of a grift because he knows he's going to make money this way. And we all have to make money somehow, but I don't know. I hope I hope to go on the podcast again. And I hope to fix him. I hope to change and fix him, and maybe
no. Is this what's wrong with us as human beings that we want to fix everyone? I'm trying to learn that with myself. I've tried to stop doing that with guys.
Yeah. That's maybe. I mean, maybe I just have a martyr complex. But I do. I know. I noticed that there's like a bunch of dating podcasts like this right now. Fresh and Fit being like one of the biggest. And I watch Fresh and Fit and I'm like, oh, there's no hope for these men. They should contribute to the male suicide rate. But from the whatever podcast, Brian seemed like reachable. And so I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he kind of brings different types on. What I was kind of wondering though is why you think why do these women do it? Is it because it's crowd pleasing? Is it because, I mean, that's something I wonder a lot with gay guys why they do so many things that are so awful. Is it because it's crowd pleasing to fit in or for money, or when it comes to like these girls who go there and play into every type of what's expected?
I think it's a couple things. I think one, narcissism, which this culture teaches women to be, right? Like an Instagram culture that teaches you, I mean, a patriarchal culture that teaches women and men to only value women's looks for as long as they're beautiful and sexy. It sort of becomes like this obsession. And in the Instagram culture, it's sort of just, I don't know, there's always this hunger for more and more attention. I think that's also pretty human also. Yeah. So suddenly you're given this opportunity to go on a big podcast, you're going to go. And then second, I think that women will do a lot for male validation. a lot for male validation. And I think that's because in a world, I don't know if you agree with this, but this is my whole spiel. In a world where women have limited access to power, one of the only ways they can acquire it is through proximity to men and male power. And one of the ways they do that is by becoming completely submissive and subservient to a man, and trying to make money off of them, trying to attach themselves to a rich husband, which understandable, I think, in a patriarchal society where you don't feel like you have a lot of options, but it is very strange to watch. It's like watching animals in like a zoo. It's very weird. But yeah, those girls hated me.
Did they? I mean, you're kind of just telling them about them in like a very nice indirect way.
Yeah.
Like you were telling him about himself, but it applied to all of them.
Yeah, they got really mad. I remember being like, you bring on unintelligent, unself-aware women, and one of the girls got so angry and was like, I have a master's degree, and I just was like, there were so many times, dude, there were so many times where I like wanted to look over at them and I just wanted to be like, holy shit, like, I'm trying to help you, shut up, like, you're making yourself look so dumb. But I needed to, as I think like a young feminist voice, I can't be like, optically it doesn't look great for me to tell women that they're retarded. So I really needed to bite my tongue. And I think I did an okay job. People have been telling me that that I was very patient. So
I think so. I think when it comes to things like that, I think when you look at the actual issues taking place, I think we all probably agree on a lot more than we disagree. Like when it comes to the clips of you on the show, so many conservatives agree with you. So a lot of liberals agree with you. So I think, like I said, it's not really a left-right thing. I think maybe with feminists, sometimes it's like the way they present certain things that people find off-putting.
yeah, I think that that's also true. I also think that, people were scared to call themselves like back in 2016. I remember when you had to be like a closeted feminist, right? Like you couldn't, it was like, so I don't know, people couldn't even bring it up. And then you get, when you think about feminists, you think of like a really angry woman with really short bangs yelling at you. And saying that men and women are exactly equal and just stupid things. So I don't know.
So do you think that's kind of the difference then between the TERFs now and are they sort of trying to have like more of a old school sort of feminism?
I don't know. I think that a second wave feminism is definitely coming back. I think there's a resurgence of like Andrea Dworkin types, especially with all the gender ideology craze. But I don't know. I really think that feminism is so divided right now. Like it's just, it's in no way a monolith. I think that I'm sort of, I don't even know what I would label myself, honestly. I saw this woman, Louise Perry, who's more culturally conservative but still a feminist. She called herself a materialist feminist, which I would probably call myself a materialist feminist as well.
What do you mean by that?
Just sort of like, instead of feminism is very put together. Like there are a lot of feminists who are very like postmodern, post-structuralism, who want to not realize that there are like very staunch differences between the sexes, because if you acknowledge the differences between the sexes, then you get into a bunch of you can easily, the logic goes like multiple places where feminists like don't want you to go. But I think it's so important to acknowledge biological differences, but also a lot of feminists don't want to acknowledge biological differences because some feminists are very pro-trans, and then they don't want to recognize that there are differences between men and women because they want to be able to call men women.
I don't understand that, because if there are no differences, then why do we say a man should not hit a woman? Why do we have violence against women laws if there's no difference?
Totally. I mean, it's nonsensical. I think feminists really try. I think that feminists overcorrect with the differences between the sexes and pretending that they don't exist, because it's seen that the only way that you can be valuable in society is if you are like a man. And so I think instead of feminists being like, no, women are different to men and we have equal dominion over the earth, feminists just sort of overrode that and were like, no, women are just like men, just as capable. We do exactly the same things, when like they're just completely ignoring that, like, we're much smaller, much weaker. We are the sex that gives birth, that builds children within our womb. I don't know. It's very strange to me.
Whoa, the transphobia.
Oh, dude, I've gotten in so much trouble for being. I was transphobic before I realized I was transphobic. I remember being very, very lefty and even being almost like a trans rights activist and still being like, but
Oh wow.
But at least in my brain, I was like, oh, like there is a difference though, and that was like the seed, I guess. And apparently, it's transphobic to say that there's a difference between trans women and women now.
Oh, I know trans women are women.
Yo, dude, I think when people started screaming that at me was when I was like, oh, this is insane. Like,
that's what I was going to ask. What changed your mind? Was it their attitude, or?
I mean, a couple things. I think starting to get close to trans women. Like I still know a lot of trans women, but a lot of them, not all of them are insane. A lot of them are though. Unfortunately. But I remember having this conversation with this trans woman who told me that she had like a self-lubricating vagina, and I like completely believed her. And I was just like, and then when I realized that like a neo vagina couldn't self lubricate unless it was like part of a butthole, and even then that's like not really. It's a whole thing. I remember being like, oh, this, like, she like lied to me, and then I was like, why did she lie to me? Did she want? Is this like a? It felt very weird that we had this conversation where she was almost trying to like prove her, or they were trying to prove their womanhood to me.
I think a lot of them, I mean, they have to really. I just saw a video clip on Twitter today of one of them talking about putting lube on a tampon to put it in her vagina. But they must really believe it, though, right?
Yeah, I think that it's hard because a lot of trans women are AGP or autogynephiles. And that's very uncomfortable to be around as a woman. Because I'm a woman because I'm a female, and they're women because they are sexually aroused by being women, or at least a good portion of them, right? So then when you're hanging around these, so-called women, and you realize the differences, you start to wake up. You start to wake up and you start to realize, oh, we're like not actually the same. I think it's easy to say that you're the same when you don't know any trans women. But when you start to meet them, you start to realize like things are very different. And also, yeah, the trans women are women thing was so retarded. It's just so stupid. It's just so stupid. And then people saying that trans women, well, there was also the initiative to give trans children, whatever the fuck that means, hormones. And I was just like, the fact that so many people on the left are pro giving, like, sterilizing children, like, scares me so much. And all the horror stories. I mean, there's so many people who are detransitioning, and I don't know. I've always been sort of obsessed with gender because I was like, I grew up, queer. I identified as a lesbian for a while until I didn't. I'm a bisexual woman. But I grew up sort of gender nonconforming, obviously, as a person. And then I hate saying the word queer. But as I hate saying the word queer.
I'm allergic to that word.
Yeah, no, I hate it. But as a bisexual woman, but then as a lesbian, I never I was very scared of becoming a woman. I started to wear a binder very young.
Oh, wow.
I never transitioned fully because I went to a residential treatment center where I couldn't. But I sometimes worry about if I hadn't gotten intervention, like how far I would have gone down that rabbit hole. So I don't know. It's sort of near and dear to my heart, and I always just all of this stuff has really interested me because it's all social contagion.
Oh, yeah. You know what? Oh, this is so depressing. I hate even thinking about it. But the person, when it comes to like, because I've always found a lot of feminism kind of off-putting. However, I've always loved badass, even fictional characters. All my heroes are all ass-kicking women.
Sure.
The feminist that I've always loved, that I thought I was in line with, who I just found out some horrible shit about, Camille Paglia, has said all this like pro-pedophilia stuff, and I'm like, no, you were like my guiding light.
Oh no, that's so weird.
That aside, because I was going to say that aside, I like her sort of view of gender stuff.
Yeah, that is super weird. Yeah, that's super weird. I think I don't know. Do you know who Gabe? Well, they go by Gabe now, but there was this woman, Gabby Dunn, that used to do this show Just Between Us. She was like a BuzzFeed person, and she was sort of like, she was like kind of butchy, but like a bisexual woman, and she was really loud and Jewish and badass. And I was always like, oh, I love her. And recently I looked to see how she was doing, and she'd transitioned, and she's going by Gabe. And I just like, it made me so sad. Like, it just made me so sad that I don't know. I mean, I mean, it's just so strange that an adult woman would transition, and then I don't know. We're losing our feminist, icons to gender ideology. I feel like even like Joan of Arc. Like Joan of Arc, or
oh, that's
like,
right. Didn't they trans Joan of Arc?
Dude, yes, they trans Joan of Arc. They also transed James something. Fuck, I'm completely spacing. I literally just wrote an essay about this person, but it was a female doctor in the 1800s or the early 1900s who, because women go to medical school, basically dressed up as a man. Only because of that, like not because of gender identity, not because of dysphoria, like only to go to medical school to become a doctor, and then lived her life as a doctor. And the trans rights activists have completely transed her. Like they're saying that she's a man and use the correct pronouns, and you're transphobic if you. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I think the main targets for them are women, gay men, and lesbians. It's like all of those identities are just completely being mowed down with transing.
Yeah, totally. I mean, yeah, completely. It's really sad. And then the initiative to like get people to be heterosexual again, through like, you can't have genital preferences.
It's crazy too, because it's like, in a place like Iran, it's fine to get transed, you just can't be gay. So there are people who will have sex reassignment surgery just to not be gay. And I wonder if that's sort of even subconsciously some component of it that's happening here.
I mean, it's gotta be. I mean, so many detransitioners, and I mean so many detransitioners, especially gay women, are coming out now. I mean, in hordes on YouTube, on Twitter, saying that part of why they transitioned is because of internalized homophobia. Like, so much of it. So yeah, I mean, it's just gotta be. It's just gotta be. But it is so sad. It is so sad that we've given any of this gender shit merit. That we've given any of it merit.
Why do you think? Why? For me, I think with a lot of people, they just won't say no to anything. They just want to sit at the good people table. They've been told these are the good people, these are the bad people, and it's like they're willing to give up anything for that. Their own children's minds and bodies, anything.
It's because they don't think it'll happen to them. because they're like, well, I don't really know any trans people. My kids aren't going to be trans. My kid, like, parents are usually the people who are like, this is ridiculous, because their kid comes home and is like, I feel like a boy. And they're like, wait, now it's starting to get real. And there's so many, I mean, I was really close friends with a trans man who was previously a butch lesbian woman. And their Jesus Christ, I hate this. Their mom was writing a book because she had been like a leftist, like a very staunch leftist her whole life, and was very pro-trans and everything. And then her daughter came out as a trans man, and she was like, she didn't know what to do, because she was like, I know that this is fake. I know that you're not really a man. I know that, you know. And my friend had like this huge, like, didn't want to, like, was really upset with, you know, their mom that they wanted to like write this book. It's pure narcissism. A lot of this stuff is pure narcissism. But I don't know. There's so many people who are on the left who yeah, like you said, like just want to be on the right side of history. But it's not.
This is so true. I saw this in the chat. You've only got to look at Grindr, and literally half the people on there are trans, non-binary, or queer. Oh, and let me tell you, the other half only want someone who's trans. On Tinder, any of them. I don't know if to say. I think you're taken, right? So you're lucky. You have to deal with that.
Yeah. I'm lucky, but I do see it. You know, it really sucks, because I've been a hag my whole life. I think my first best friend, as a grumpy, bitchy bisexual woman, I've been a hag my whole life. My closest friends throughout my whole life have been gay men, and you know, I'm really worried about going to pride parades now, because I'm a TERF. Like, I'm seen as like someone who hates trans people, who like wants them dead or whatever, which I don't actually, obviously. Nobody does.
I don't think of anyone who would actually, even the most extreme people on the issue, I don't think feel that way.
No, it's a complete witch hunt. But it's sad that I, like, you know, June's coming up, and I feel like I can't go to my local pride because someone's gonna try to like pick a fight with me, or I don't feel welcome anymore in these spaces. And a lot of gay and lesbian men feel like they don't feel welcome in these spaces because they've been completely overran.
I think for me, maybe the upside of it is I never quite felt welcomed by those types of people. For me, one of the big turning points though was maybe like 4 or 5 years ago. I went to the Pride Parade in New York, and they were handing out flyers where they were changing laws to make it either legal or a misdemeanor to intentionally give someone HIV. I'm like, how is that not a form of rape or sexual assault? Because there are many stories of these guys, these predators, who will like bang 30 different people, get them to convince that he's in love with them, and then he'll text them like, haha, you got AIDS. Perfectly legal now in half the states. And and I'm like, you people are so brainwashed, you're putting yourselves at risk to sexual predators in the name of progressive shit.
Yeah, that's so sad. I saw this video the other day of like a 13-year-old dancing at a drag ball. A 13-year-old wearing like fishnets and high-heeled boots.
God.
And I'm looking at this, and I'm just like, are these people fucking crazy? What is going on?
I can't believe the things that are even up for discussion at this point, that you actually have to argue with people about these things. Don't sterilize kids. Don't put kids in drag shows.
Dude, it's so crazy, the sterilized kids thing. Like in Oregon, you can be like 13 now without your parents' permission to get hormones. And I'm just like, it's dystopian. It's dystopian.
It's what I want to say though is it's interesting that I think a lot of things that you were saying about your feelings with women, like the types of women that go on whatever and stuff, I related to a lot, because that's how I feel about a lot of these gay men. That I feel like, not just with the fact that, God, I can't imagine what it must be for kids who are young now that are raised in front of iPads. So they probably are seeing porn before they're old enough to speak. And then you have something like Grindr, where I feel like you have an entire generation now that's just basically cosplaying as porn stars.
Yeah, that's a big thing in feminism right now. Is that, like, every woman is a porn star, and every woman wants to be a porn star. There was, especially during lockdown, there was this like big, like huge explosion of like pro sex work, like imagery. Like everyone wanted to be a stripper. It was seen as very glamorous. Everyone was like, be a bimbo, turn your brain off, like all this shit. And I'm just, it was mind numbing. And I, at that point, I had been a sex worker for 5 years and had hated it.
Oh,
Hated
really? I
it.
didn't know that. That's interesting.
Yeah, I was a sex worker for 6 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
And so you stopped or got sick of it?
I tried to get out for like 2 years, but the money is so addicting. The money's so addicting. And it's so easy to do with OnlyFans now. Like all you have to do is post and you're instantly flooded, especially if you already have a platform, you're flooded with all this money. There's nothing like it. It's like selling drugs, literally. There's nothing like it. You get so much return on so little, and the money is very addicting. And also, you know, I had done it for so long that it's like I don't know how to have a normal job at this point, which is really, really pathetic as, you know, a 25-year-old woman. But it's, I guess I did it for almost 7 years. Wait, no, I did it for 6 years. But, yeah, I
So
was
you were really young when you started too.
fresh out the gate. I was 17 turning 18 the first time I done anything sexual for money. So yeah,
What got you into that? Was just the money, or?
I was like homeless youth. So I needed quick money, fast. I needed fast money, easy money. I had sort of also my mom is sort of my mom has always sort of hypersexualized herself. And so I saw her do that growing up, and then I do that at a very young age. You know, I was doing I was acting 22 at like 14.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it was, I don't know, I felt like I was just kind of raised like a lamb for slaughter in some ways. So it was just always going to happen, I think. That I
So
was going
what
to go
was
into
sort of
sex
the
work.
thing that changed your mind on it, or did you know it wasn't what you wanted at the time?
I got engaged. And I realized, and he was always really, he never had any sort of you know, at that point, at the point of meeting him, I had only been doing like online sex work, and he, you know, he's a liberal man, so he's like, I don't care, you know, liberal men don't care about the OnlyFans stuff. But internally, when I got engaged, I was like, okay, how long until I'm a mom? I want to have babies. I want to have kids, and I was just like, oh God, I have maybe a year or two before I want to have kids. And then I thought to like Lena the plug, who like throughout her pregnancy did some sex work, and I was just thinking how like horrifying that was. And then
Oh,
I was thinking about how, you know, how Trisha Paytas is being like treated through like her having done sex work and the way that they're treating her, and how her sex work is going to follow her child throughout her child's life. And then, you know, at first it was sort of like self-disgust. And then I found Andrea Dworkin's Pornography, and read that book and ate up as much like sex work content as I could. And I found that, you know, most sex workers leaving the industry leave abused and tattered, and most of them come into the industry as very young, very helpless, underprivileged, depressed, mentally ill women who, you know, get put through the meat grinder. And then, you know, and then I started to realize like just the gender inequality in sex work, and how, you know, one of the ways that women are oppressed is sexual subjugation, through, you know, hypersexualization of female bodies. And I had just, all at once, I just woke up. All at once, I was just like, holy shit, what am I doing? Like, just what am I doing to myself and my body? What am I doing to my kids? What if my kid came to me and was like, I want to do an OnlyFans? I'd be horrified. Like, I don't know. Men were so abusive to me online also. Like, I was just putting myself every day
While you were
through
doing
like,
it?
yeah, like, you know, men will comment on your body constantly, and, you know, people who hate you will say that you're disgusting and ugly, and it's such an abusive industry. It's just such an abusive industry, of course. I mean, looking like people outside of the industry who aren't brainwashed are like, holy shit, it would suck so bad to be, you know, a prostitute or like an OnlyFans girl. Most people don't want to do it, but when you're in it, like, you're like brainwashed to think it's empowering.
Does it ever feel empowering, or does it just always feel bad?
I think it feels empowering when you like grow up underprivileged and suddenly you have money. Like, that feels like power. And then you realize that you've just been capitalizing off of something that has oppressed women, literally. I mean, the violence in the sex industry is so pervasive, and women who are even doing it from the comfort of their own homes are holding up this industry. They're holding it up, and they're making it run. And even if you're not someone who's prostituting per se, you're still keeping the sex industry alive, so that those men feel comfortable buying prostitutes. It's just it's a cycle of dehumanization of women.
So when was it that you sort of changed that?
I quit for the first time last June, so almost a full year ago. And then I went back thinking that I could maybe do it more ethically, that I could just, I don't know. It's just so.
You think that's possible?
No, I don't. It's just so hard to get out. Like, everyone in the sex industry will tell you how hard it is to get out of it. Every single person will tell you. But yeah, I went back for a couple months, and then I realized, fuck, I really can't do this anymore. I'm like gonna kill myself. It was so brutal to like debase yourself. Also, like the things that these men ask you to do, like pretend that you're like 13, put in pigtails, shave your vagina so you look prepubescent. You know, they're like writing things to you like, yeah, take that dick. Like just disgusting, defiling, dehumanizing, embarrassing things. Yeah, I couldn't handle it anymore. So I finally quit in, I think, October of last year.
Wow, good for you.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. I think that's something that especially girls who are young really need to hear, because there's probably so much pressure being put on them, being sexualized from such a young age, just in the mainstream alone, forgetting even the stuff that goes on at home. It's weird because I feel like just regular social media has kind of hacked our minds, but then when you get into stuff like OnlyFans and Grindr and all that, it's like it's hacked our mind, body, and soul.
Yeah, I think for gay men and women, there's just this overarching, you know, it's pushed on us from, you know, hyper aggressive men to just overtly sexualize ourselves and be submissive from very young. I mean, my best friend who's a gay man started going on Grindr when he was like 16.
Oh God.
And that's not an uncommon story. Like, that is not uncommon.
It's
like,
so toxic for adults. Like, I can't imagine.
Yeah.
I'm happy it didn't exist when I was, God, the first guy I ever dated was the first gay guy my age I ever met. I was 18.
Wow.
Like, that's how much of like a different planet it is now.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, and you know what's weird, that like a lot of gay guys do it. Like, at least if somebody does OnlyFans, I can comprehend like the money incentive and stuff. But it's so bizarre. I've met all these gay guys that like they have like porn Twitters of themselves. For what reason, I don't know. I'm like, if you're gonna be a whore, at least get paid for it. I don't get the point of that. I was dating this guy and I found out he had a porn Twitter. It was a popular one too. I'm like that's even worse. I'm like, I don't get the point of this. Is it just insecurity mixed with narcissism? I don't know.
Well, I think it's two things. I think one, we know that testosterone is one hell of a drug. We know that testosterone does a lot of things to male aggression, to male sexual aggression, and we know that men like to show everyone their penis at all times. From a very young age, I was a preschool teacher, and all little boys ever want to talk about is their penis.
Oh my
That's
god.
all they want to talk about for like 3 years. You know, from 2 to 6, they never shut up about it. And then we live in a completely pornified generation. We are so hypersexed and pornified. Most of us, I think the average age that someone views porn for the first time is around 10 or 11 now.
I would bet it's younger than that now. I feel like that's what it was when I was growing up.
Yeah, I mean, it could be younger. It really could be younger. I bet it is actually younger too, especially with all these children like iPads and going on TikTok, and you could be watching like a video of a dog, and then you're seeing an OnlyFans girl pedal her OnlyFans like right under it.
Oh, by the way, on Instagram, it's all they promote to me are these guys like in their underwear doing their little dancey dance. Which, first of all, is so unattractive. Like, I'm not even into the Ken doll types, but I'm like, I didn't ask for this. I didn't want to see this. There's nothing that should have brought this on here. And that's all they want to show me are these, like, OnlyFans guys who I'm not even attracted to.
Well, especially because online, I'm sure that the algorithm for, like, a game, they probably, pegged you as a gay, pegged you, no pun intended, as a gay man, and they probably, because there are so many in the LGBT community, it's so like, again, so pornified that they're feeding you this because there are so many just like degenerates who are liking this shit, so they think, oh, all gay people must be, degenerate. But that's certainly not true.
I wonder what you think about this. This is a very good point, Kieran. By the way, friends, help me be a better grifter and send in your super chats. I just hate the fact that the gay community sees friends with benefits and open relationships as proper relationships. Hookup culture is heavily embedded in gay culture. Yeah, it is.
That is very true, especially with gay men. I mean, gay men is what happens when you see male sexuality run rampant without females, right?
I was literally just gonna say that.
Yeah,
men are naturally uncivilized. Men are naturally cavemen. It's women that civilize men, and so I think without that, we have a couple different choices. We can be that for each other. We can be that for ourselves, or we can get that from our community. I hate that word. Our community, which is giving us the worst example you could possibly imagine. So it's like we're failing on all three.
Yeah. It feels like there's a big crisis in the LGB or LGBT community. It feels I mean, I hate to even, I mean, I follow a lot of people who would just call it the LGBT community now.
Yeah.
Like just dropping the T, and that seems accurate. Like I don't even know why anyone added the T. It's not, I mean, it sort of is
money.
A sexual orientation. Yeah.
I think to cast a bigger net, because it's very, unfortunately for my love life, it's a very small number of people that are actually gay, but everyone has a gender, so that gets them into your classroom, into your bathroom, into your locker room. If it was just gay people, all these groups would have been out of business years ago.
Yeah, I think that.
By the way,
true.
Thank you so much, Crash Mondo, for being a channel member. I have members now. Thank you. I'm like the two dicks guy. Did you ever see him?
The two dicks guy.
There was a guy that had two dicks. And they were like, they were two prominent ones. Somebody mentioned that when I had two members on my channel, and now of course that's all I think of when I hear members.
Oh, that's hilarious. Oh yeah, two.
Yeah, though when it comes to drop the T, I feel a little bit split on it, because I completely understand, but on the other hand, I feel like some of those people sometimes just push every issue on the T's, and obviously the T is like where the worst ones are coming from. But I feel like a lot of times they don't want to be introspective and look inward and be like, we've got a lot of shit of our own to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, completely. I even think, I mean, there's always been so much lesbophobia in general. I think that that's mainly due to like misogyny. People just hate women. In fact, I've seen a lot of gay men are very misogynistic. I've been around a lot of very misogynistic gay men who hate lesbians. So that's a problem within the LGBT community. Obviously, you know, there are predators in the community trying to give people HIV. It's like there's obviously a grooming problem. You know, people being very quick to call very young children gay or lesbian.
Thank you. I've
Very
said
strange.
there's no such thing as a gay child. There's only a child who may or may not grow up to be gay.
Totally. It's all very weird, and it becomes even weirder. It becomes way weirder when you see who the parents are.
Always. You'll never see just some like farmer as their parents in Idaho.
No. I mean, the gay people who are born and, you know, are gay out of, you know, Idaho, and their parents are farmers. I think that they grow up, they realize that, like, you know, at the normal age, 14, 15, 16, 17, they're like, I'm having, you know, some homosexual feelings, and then it's realized, right? But you go to places like California, and if you want to get a Barbie at 4, they're like, oh, my child is gay. My child is gay.
And I
It's
would
so
say
weird.
these people who claim that they're so progressive actually have the most narrow-minded view on gender more than anyone, because they think it's sort of like the antiquated ideas that we were told came from conservatives, that a boy has to dress this way and a girl has to dress this way. And if a girl is a tomboy, she's not a real boy. Or if a boy dresses in a more feminine way, he's not a real man.
Yeah, I'm writing, well, I already wrote it. I'm putting together a video essay right now. It's being edited. Hopefully it'll come out next week. But yeah, I talk about these arbitrary gender boxes and how we're like pushed to be, you know, blue box or pink box. And if we don't fit one completely, even though nobody does, like nobody fits these boxes completely naturally, like those things, like your body no longer is what makes you a woman or a man. It's like these arbitrary gender roles that we're upholding. Like, that's so conservative, like that's so anti-progressive. And these people who are trans calling themselves progressive, it's just so strange. And I think what some of the worst of it is like the non-binaries, right? The people
I can't.
the people who call themselves non-binary. It's like, who has a binary personality? Who can look at all the boy things and tick every single one off without any ticking of the pink box? Like, nobody.
The most boring people in the world, which is people who decide they're non-binary.
Yeah, it's just so strange. And this obsession with gender, I think, is just pure narcissism and mental illness, honestly. And it's hard because I think that these people are like victims. I think that these trans people are victims of this like greater ideology that, I mean, a lot of cis people hate that word. A lot of cis people are peddling, right? Like this movement is full of allies who are like confirmation biasing these very sick people who don't feel at home in their body, these people who don't realize that you are your body. And it's just very sad. It's very sad.
And it really is coming from all angles, because I think that we commonly think of the people pushing this being sort of these liberal wine moms. But I showed some clips on the last show I did. You have these like big, strong looking straight men pushing their little kids to be trans. Of course, they live in like Portland or San Francisco.
Yeah. Yeah, there is this weird initiative. I mean, well, also because there's so much social capital in being trans now.
Oh, that's at the top of that is the top of the pyramid.
Yeah, I mean, you're the most forget black, brown, poor, forget all of that. You could be a white man, you could be Dylan Mulvaney, and you could be the most oppressed person in the world overnight.
I think that's why some of them do it. I used to know this guy who was typical woke, straight white male, as they say,
Yeah.
but was surrounded by all those types. His roommates were trans, everyone. So he was probably getting a lot of shit for being, the evil straight white male. So on the day of the Pride Parade, he decides to come out that he is a demisexual. I had to Google what that meant. It's like you're attracted to people for who they are. So basically what would in the past, in the good old days, would have just been considered like you're a human being. And he painted his face the demisexual flag, and he had a flag that he wrapped himself in, and everyone, you're so brave. And I'm sitting there like,
oh, dude, that is so brutal. It's just none of these people are normal.
no.
Like, it's all sickness. It truly is. It's all sickness, and it just doesn't. None of it makes any fucking sense. For the biggest thing that I had to worry about like 5 years ago was like bisexual women calling themselves bisexual who like weren't actually bisexual. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like the bisexual for attention thing. Remember
That's
that?
so
Remember
quaint.
when that was one of the biggest issues?
That's so quaint by comparison.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, that's really cute now. I wish that there was more of that. And now we have to deal with, trans women who have raped women going into female prisons. So there's a big.
Or even worse, when they'll shut down rape crisis centers.
Oh yeah, like the one in Vancouver, like when they completely, defiled it, and dude, it's so brutal, and yeah, it's just so.
I mean, imagine attacking a rape crisis center and thinking that you're the good guys.
I mean, these people think that they're the good guys. I've never seen one Matt Walsh, Ben Shapiro, who I hate, by the way. These people, Matt Walsh, Ben Shapiro, all these people. I've never seen one of them advocate for death or advocate for anything but like helping these people. And you are constant, like every day I'm going through messages that are like, I hope you get fucking raped. I hope you get murdered. I'm going to kick your teeth in. If I see you in the street, I'm going to beat the fuck out of you. Like, it is constant. And these are like also men saying these things to me. Like,
that's what I was going to say. So this is another thing that I realized I was wrong about, is that I used to hear how these people go after women more. And I was like, oh, I don't know. I've had them come after me. I think they just go after everyone. I had no idea. Like, they hate everybody, but I always say, I think that they want everybody's compliance, but they want women's submission.
Oh, they want women's submission? They're the worst to black women. There's some, I've gotten some really awful messages, but I follow some like black rad femmes who are like openly TERFs and get the worst messages I've ever, like, it is so disgusting. So yeah, I don't know. These people think that they have the moral high ground and they don't, and it's just, yeah, it's just mental illness. It's just unchecked mental illness.
I'd actually, what I mentioned about, I forget if I said it to you before on the show, but this girl, she's amazing. This girl, Jess, who I had on my show, that she did an impression of Dylan Mulvaney where she had like the beard and stuff. She got, not just her entire family. They doxed her school, her parents, her grandparents. They went after everything in her life. So I think the time that I really realized how particularly vicious they are to women, I was like, I want to do my own little like social experiment. I'm going to make a video impression of Dylan and see if they react the same way. And it got like the same number of views as hers did. The worst I got was one or two very half-hearted, vaguely pissy messages. That's it.
Yeah, I think there's a couple things. I think that there's a lot of people don't like to think that misogyny is as rampant as it is. It is so ingrained in our society. People hate women. Gay, straight, whatever, people hate women. And then suddenly there are these people who fetishize womanhood, decide to call themselves women, and they are still socialized to hate women. And now they're entering these spaces and they're just treating the women already in these spaces. It's just complete male entitlement. It's just complete male entitlement from these people who are now calling themselves women. Yeah, women are absolutely getting the brunt of it, which, it makes me really mad because most women are like, who is like pushing this shit also. They're like, no, trans women are women, and because we're just so naturally empathetic, and we've been taught to be empathetic and to just be walked all over, and it's happening.
So do you think that they genuinely believe it, or they're just trying to be agreeable?
I think they do what most women have done throughout history, which is not think about it too much.
So they're basically like mafia wives.
Yeah, I really think that they're turning off their brains just to be nice. Like once you like debate a trans person about gender, or you really get down to it with these people, it always comes down to, okay, you always kind of can talk them down to like, okay, I know that gender isn't real, but why can't you just lie? That's always what it comes down to. Is why can't you just say they're women, even if you don't believe it?
And this is why I think there's a much more insidious agenda there, is that they don't care that they are very actively hurting actual acceptance for legitimate transsexual people. They couldn't care less. Because for me personally, on an interpersonal level, in the past, I would have always felt the same way. Trans women are women. And on an interpersonal level, I would say that I still do, but now I feel very emphatic that, well, trans women are trans women. Like, there needs to be that distinction. And I think that distinction is just getting greater and greater for most people.
Yeah, I think Kathleen Stock, who is a feminist, talks about this, and I was fully okay with the consensus being that these people just wanted to be women for whatever reason, and that it was fiction, right? So we were just sort of, these men would retreat into their fantasy world of womanhood, and they wanted to dress like a woman, and who gives a fuck if you want to dress like a woman? Like, do your thing. If that feels like you, do your thing. If you want to call yourself a woman, if you want to rename yourself, absolutely do your thing. The problem is when you are now speaking over actual females and entering their spaces, their safe spaces, which is a big problem, because then it's not fiction anymore. Then they're trying to just make it like reality, and that's not okay, to me personally, and to a lot of these feminists speaking out about this. I think most of the TERFs I've talked about don't care if these men think that they're women, as long as they recognize, like sort of how Buck Angel is like, I am a woman and I live as a man. Like, okay, that's fine. Like, do your thing. I'm sure Buck Angel wouldn't want to go into a male prison.
No.
Yeah, I'm sure he wouldn't want to do that. But I think for trans women especially, it just becomes how far they can push it.
And it's interesting. I think it says a lot that they want to be women, but they don't want to do any actual listening to women.
Oh no.
Not 1%. Will they listen to your concerns? Will they hear anything? There's no meeting of the minds. There's no nothing. It's just their way or else.
Yeah. There's no compromise. Women can't set boundaries anymore with any of that, and it sucks. It super sucks, because now, I mean, I have never hated trans people. I could still, I mean, I'm friends with multiple trans people. I could be friends with any trans person. I think that there are people like Matt Walsh who hate trans people because of homophobia, right? Like, I think that, yeah, I think that a lot of the problem is not transphobia as much as it is homophobia and all these bigots who just hate these people because they think they're gay men and they, you know, hate gay people. But for, you know, the normal leftist person who's against all this gender identity bullshit, like, I could be friends with any trans person. It's just when you want to talk over me and tell me what a woman is that I'm just like, this is ridiculous. But I don't know. I don't know if we'll ever. I feel a tide turning. I do.
Too.
Yeah, I feel like we are really grouping up, and the movement against this gender ideology stuff is getting stronger. And even some trans people are starting to wake up.
Oh,
you know,
wow.
yeah, a lot of trans people, like that girl Kelly Cardigan, that trans woman Kelly Cardigan, who's now speaking up about it. Of course, Blair White was always there.
She's awesome.
Yeah, she was supposed to talk to me, and she ghosted me. Yeah, yeah, you should. But I see all the hate that she's getting online.
Oh, so she gets it. Yeah. So I always want to say to her, I don't know if we've like known each other long enough for which maybe I should be saying it on here, but I think her problem is that she's too good of a, well, I guess I said this during the show. I think she's too good of a person. She's such a genuine and kind person. And I think sometimes you can't be with these people. They take advantage of that. So she's always coming at them in a very genuine, sincere way, trying to have some sort of mutual understanding. And I think a lot of times you just got to tell them to go fuck themselves.
Yeah, these people, some of these people cannot be helped. They can't be changed. Their minds change and they just want blood. They just want blood, and it sucks. Yeah, I saw this video of this gay man trying to like clocking Kelly and was like, your shoulders are broad, you have a male brow bone, like just being so cruel to Kelly off the fact that she was like, yeah, I don't think kids should be transitioning. Like, that's it. That's it.
I know.
This supposed person who's very pro-trans and pro-transitioning is like trying to clock Kelly. I'm like, what are the brain gymnastics you have to do to make this fit with your ideology? It's literally just people that you like, I guess. It's just very weird.
It's anybody that agrees with them 100%. By the way, Jeremy, thank you so much for the super chat, my love. Oh, by the way, parentheses, I should mention to everybody, if you feel like subscribing to my locals, Patreon, channel, whatever, we're doing our very first game night on Sunday. So come join. Hypernormalization is the word. Everyone in the USSR knew it was a lie, but had to pretend everything was fine all the time. That's where we're at. That's very sadly true.
Yeah.
In North Korea too. It's like if you don't cry enough when dear leader dies, that's kind of what's happening now.
Yeah, it feels it feels like Stockholm syndrome. Like we're all like gaslighting each other into thinking that any of this is okay. It's very bleak.
You know what's interesting too? Somebody mentioned this recently, and I honestly had never thought of this side of it with the drag queens with kids, because I mean, there's about 20 different horrible things about it. But one that I hadn't considered is they were like, what sort of, even if take away the sexualization, take away the indoctrination, assume it's just drag queens and that's it. What message is that sending to young girls? Because it is a parody of women. And, you know, for adults, okay, we can all laugh at ourselves, but why would that be what you would want particularly little girls to see, this very exaggerated thing that's mocking women?
Yeah, I go back and forth with the drag stuff, honestly, because I think that gay men were made fun of so much throughout history for being feminine, for having, you know, more feminine traits, that it's sort of like taking it back, right? It's taking the power back and being like, fuck you, I'll be just like a woman. I'll be the best woman. I'll be the most woman, right? And it is all parody. Well, most of it is. Now there's a bunch of drag queens that are trans women, which, Okay. Yeah, but it used to be very parody, and it used to be like sticking it to the people who said that femininity was wrong. And, you know, it was suddenly powerful. Like being feminine was powerful. And I think there are a lot of drag queens who still do that tastefully, where it's, you know, because you love women and you want to be like women, you want to emulate them, you think that femininity is power. And then there are other drag queens that really do make a mockery of it, like a complete mockery of it, and pretend to be dumb and pretend to be ditzy and pretend to be whore and all this stuff. Like, you know, when you watch Tu Wong Fu, to Julie Newmar, whatever,
Yeah.
you know, those are drag queens sort of, and even RuPaul, who sort of did it with dignity.
Yeah.
It was like cool to be a woman, and it was beautiful, or to look like one. Femininity was treasured, and somewhere along the way it sort of got lost, and now it does feel like a joke. Like now the queens on Grace are like much more, it's like a degradation thing, and that's very weird. And then bringing children into it really ever feels super inappropriate. It should really just be an adult pastime.
Yeah.
Like, regardless of whether or not you think it's misogynistic or not, some things are misogynistic, whatever, right? Like
that's how I feel.
Yeah, things are going to be misogynistic, and it's whatever. But really exposing kids to that is too much.
It's crazy. Yeah, no, I feel the same way. I'm like, adults, knock yourself out. Do what you want to do. You know, by the way, you know why I'm like the worst gay ever? I've never seen RuPaul's Drag Race.
You know, it's not that good. It's like,
well, now it's probably insufferable.
Oh, now it's horrible. I stopped watching after I think Trixie won All Stars. I was just like, okay, and now I never have to watch again. But even before then, there are some snatch games. You've probably seen clips of snatch games where the queens pretend to be people. Those are always fun. But now there's new Gen Z influencer drag queens that aren't funny. They don't do any, they're fucking stupid, and it's not fun to watch anymore. And everything's very political now on Drag Race also, because of the oppression Olympic shit. So, and everyone's trans.
Totally random subject. Did you ever watch America's Next Top Model?
Oh, I was obsessed with America's Next Top Model.
And I've been watching these videos lately about it. All these things that I can't believe I remember all of this. And just seeing how fucked up that show was. I mean, that was basically just Saw with Tyra instead of
100. Yeah,
mental torture.
Yeah, complete torture, dude. Some of those episodes are so brutal. Or I like how they aged, that one photo shoot where they changed all the races of the girls and put some of them in blackface, and it is just so wild. It is so wild.
Someone has a question for, I think this would apply to both of us, but they're asking you why she thinks it's okay to call trans women men in skirts and shrooms, but pretends to be upset about this woman being misgendered. I don't think that's what she said.
Yeah, no, well, first of all, I called a woman who called me a trans woman, Jesus, who called me a washed up porn star, a troon. I was like, your wig's bad, you're a troon. I'm sorry, if you call me a washed up porn star, I don't give a fuck about your gender identity. I'm gonna fucking hit you just as hard. I don't care. I'm sorry, that's not some unforgivable place that we won't go. I don't give a fuck. Your gender identity means nothing to me, especially if you're a jackass. Especially if you're being misogynistic and you're showing male aggression. Sorry, you don't get to be a woman anymore. Sorry, bud.
Good for you.
But with the pretends to be upset about this woman being misgendered, it's not even about the misgendering. It's actively trying to make someone feel very bad because you disagree with them. It's Kelly did not go for this person. It was not personal. Kelly's trying to send the message that you should not be sterilizing children. And because this person disagreed with this very normal thing, they then want to just make Kelly I mean, these people talk about the suicide rate, the trans suicide rate, right? But you say shit like this that like is actively going to contribute to it. Like, I don't know. It just feels
they go
weird.
after her every minute of every day.
Yes, and Kelly's such a sweetie that it's like, why do it? I get it if they're being if the trans person is being just a fucking terror and they're being awful, do whatever you want, I guess. But when it's not deserved, it's just it's cruel, and I don't know.
I don't agree with this person that it's hypocritical at all. I mean, I think Leah's perspective is probably a little bit more consistent than mine. For me, I sort of just go with whatever I sort of get from them. That doesn't sound like a very official position to have. However, for my friends who are trans, Kelly, for example, it would never enter my mind to say Kelly is a man or any one of my friend Cody. It would never enter my mind to say he's a woman or anything like that. However, I go with what is in my brain. I go with what I see. Somebody like Dylan Mulvaney, for some reason, even after he's transitioned, I can't bring myself to say she. That's not what I'm seeing.
Well,
that's not what I feel is true.
He doesn't act like a man. He acts like a very effeminate gay man.
No, and I think
he's like,
yeah,
women don't act like that.
Yeah, and I think Leah is talking about a very real thing, that there are just men in skirts who do nothing and don't transition and just say, okay, I'm a woman now. I mean, it's all over, look anywhere on TikTok.
Yeah, especially the person I called a troon is fucking like 45. 45, looks like lived most of their life as a man. I'm like, dude, you're not a woman, bud. You are not a gynophile, and that is as much as I'll give you. But you called her a slur. Yeah, I'm reading it. You called her a slur.
Who's the her? Who are we even talking about?
We're talking about this
Troon?
Yeah, we're talking about this trans woman named Zonia, who is just
you made Zonia feel bad.
Yeah, Zonia, who accused me. Zonia, actually, I only called Zonia a troon after he accused me of killing my cat. Like, accused me, made a whole video about me abusing my animals, which has never happened. I'm like, I can call this person whatever the fuck I want. So, yeah.
I don't think she said that at all. I think she stuck up for herself. Good for you.
A troon is not the worst thing to be called.
No. First of all, I didn't know what it meant. My friend had to explain to me the other day. I thought it meant because they look like cartoons. Like tunes. They're troons. I kind of like that definition better.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
By the way, Maxilla, thank you so much for the super chat, my love. Everybody check out his channel if you like movies and stuff. I won't invoke their name directly because I think we're tired of saying it. Do you think that a certain someone is a disturbed person, sexist, drag? The dill word. The Mr. Bud Light.
I think Dylan probably does have a level of dysphoria. I don't know if it's drag. To me, whenever I see a Dylan Mulvaney video, it just seems like they're very immature. Like, just very childlike and a bit disturbed. Interested to know, and I know this is too much, I don't want to psychoanalyze too much, but their behavior is very indicative of someone who went through early childhood sexual abuse. And we know that people, especially, men or boys who go through that, they are at a greater propensity for something like gender dysphoria in adulthood. But also, I was very reluctant to really comment on Dylan Mulvaney at all because they seemed pretty kind. Like, I don't know if I've ever seen Dylan be like extremely rude to anyone, but then, the more that comes out about how desperate to be famous Dylan has been throughout the years is really putting into perspective a lot of things. And then the whole tampon talk and the whole like acting like a caricature of woman is very disturbing to me. But I don't know. I hope that Dylan gets it together. But actually, I think is more offensive, which you may disagree with, is people like Gigi Gorgeous and Blair White who try to make themselves look like blow up dolls. That is not what a woman looks like. That's not what a woman looks like. That's what a blow up doll. That's what a male projection of a female looks like. That's not what a woman looks like.
Yeah, but women get all the stuff done too.
I'm against that. I'm against women getting plastic surgery. I think that that's disgusting. I don't think that women should debase themselves.
Somebody had actually mentioned in the chat, if I can find it, Adrienne Curry. I don't know if you, so she won America's Next Top Model the first season, and she's like one of my dream guests to have on because she's been on a tear speaking out about plastic surgery and speaking against it. And she got breast implants that gave her all these like lifelong health problems, and it's really terrible.
Oh yeah, no, but I mean, so many women die a year getting BBLs. Like
BBL?
Yeah, BBLs, like Brazilian butt lifts.
Oh my god. What is that? Like, is that like an implant?
It's lipo. But it's very soft tissue lipo next to a ton of arteries. So it's very dangerous. And things can go very wrong very fast. But so many women, I mean, plastic surgery right now is like an epidemic. I think boob jobs are coming back in a big way. For a while, no woman was getting boob jobs, and now they're coming back.
Maybe women are trying to keep up with the transes.
well, no, that's sort of what, is going on, because when you have people like Nikita Dragon and so many females following women like Nikita Dragon, and her body is completely built, and you have this unrealistic body standard for women in which males are setting, it becomes impossible to compete with, and it just becomes, really unhealthy. I hate this plastic surgery culture. I really hate plastic surgery in general. I don't think anyone should get it. I don't care if it's your nose. I don't care if it's your boobs. I don't care if it's anything. I think that we are our bodies, and we should just learn how to live with our bodies. But,
I kind of agree with you. I've always wanted to get like a nose job, but I never will. I've learned to just like accept my big nose.
Yeah, we're not supposed to all look the same. I mean, if you've ever been to LA, those women are indistinguishable from each other.
It's very creepy that now we're in a culture where not just everybody is pretending to all think alike and all have the same opinions. Now they have the same faces too.
Yeah, we're all going to the same surgeon.
It's horrible.
So,
oh my god, this guy does not want to let this go. No, nobody's calling Black people the N-word. Let me explain this to you. We are being kind. We are, for certain people who we think is legitimate, we are willing to say, okay, or at least me, I don't want to speak for you. Sure. I'm willing to say, to me personally, I see you as a woman. I see you as a man. If somebody's going to be nasty, could revoke that privileges. There's nothing to do with, there's no equivalent to that if someone's Black.
Well, because it's a courtesy, right? It's a fictitious courtesy. You are now, for your friend, acting in an act of fiction, saying, okay, I will give this to you if it makes you feel comfortable. You're not, and that's completely valid. And you can absolutely take it away, because that is just a courtesy. It's like, saying that your friend is a really good singer when you're friends, and then when you're not friends anymore, being like, holy shit, that bitch couldn't sing, right? It's people say that it's more loaded than that, but it's not. Gender identity is meaningless. It's not more loaded than that. Like so there's that. And also the fact that you typed Troon and can't type the N-word means that they are very fucking different. So like that also, they're just not even close to being the same thing.
Well said. You're going in time out, bitch. But as a white twink, I'm sure. Oh wait, she uses the N-word as an insult. As a white
that's just
twink,
not true.
As a white twink, I'm sure you're cool with it. Dude, I am so, well, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to assume your gender. I am so flattered that you think I'm still young enough to be a twink. Thank you.
Oh, that's beautiful.
You've made my day. I
Twink
I
death
get
is
the
so
nicest
sad.
haters. They always end up like accidentally complimenting me. They'll be like, "You're just a skinny bitch," or they'll tell me like, they're like, "You only did this for money and fame." I'm like, you think I have either one of those? Thank you.
Yeah, that's actually pretty funny. But no, I do not just call people the N-word. I don't know. This person has got to be a troll.
Just the cat that you killed, obviously.
It's yeah. I'm racist. I've committed hate crimes. I killed my cat. It's when you're
Welcome
on the
to the
internet
club.
long enough. Yeah, when you're on the internet long enough, it is just you're everything bad. You're everything bad.
And as we know, the people saying these things, they're the good people, and they have very strong beliefs that good things are good and bad things are bad.
Yeah.
Applaud them.
True. But
I get so many compliments from the haters. Oh, thank you, James. I want to hear about your music, by the way. You got to send me like a link or something so I can put it in. What are you working on?
Well, I'm not working on anything right now. I've sort of taken a break because I got disenchanted with the industry. But I have a song called "From Me the Moon." It's like kind of folky, poppy stuff, sort of like Phoebe Bridgers type stuff.
Where can people find it?
Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, it's on everything. So Lav, Lav on Spotify. That's my stage name.
Ooh, I'm gonna get that. Chris, geez, why doesn't anyone love the Bears anymore? We love you, Chris. You know this. Mikey and Leah, you know you're doing something right when people have nothing better to do than come into a chat just to harass people. Leah, you're beautiful. Don't let anyone say different.
Thank you, yeah. Leah. Thank you, Leah. A fellow Leah.
Something about that name just makes people awesome. Not Leah Thomas. Leah Thomas is out of the Leah Club.
Well, that's not the real name, right? It's probably something like Jack or Will.
Yeah, it's probably like Fred. Max asks, do you two think that social media narcissism is playing a role in how trans people are perceived? Most people I know don't behave like the terminally online ones who are popular. Definitely.
Yeah, I definitely think it's an aspect. It's definitely a factor. Yeah, and also you really do get so much attention online right now for transitioning. Like everyone is congratulating you, and if you want positive attention, transition. That's pretty much how it goes.
I think it definitely has leaked out into the real world, though. Like I have seen these people in the wild, and it is by no means, like I said, I hope it's clear that I say this quite frequently. It is by no means just the transes. A lot of these allies are every bit as insane.
Oh, completely.
It's everyone.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's actually the allies that are the worst often.
Yep.
It's not even other trans people. It really is the allies. So, Mike, his name is Will. Yeah, actually, that's hilarious.
Oh my god, I didn't realize that's who you were talking about.
Yeah, I guessed Will, and I guess it is William Thomas. That's pretty funny.
Can't spell William without Leah.
That's true.
I never noticed that. Maybe that's why he chose it.
Weird. Did you see all that stuff that came out about Lea Thomas being like super AGP? Like the things that they were liking on Instagram?
No.
Oh, dude, it was like kind of gnarly, like liking like sissification, like porny stuff. It was gnarly.
See, this is what I think. This is like, I hadn't quite thought about it before in this context, but I think it's a big problem with gay men that because, unfortunately, sex is so easily accessible if you're willing and have no standards, they have to keep finding the next thing. They have to keep finding the next thing, and it keeps having to get sicker and sicker and sicker. Like you look on any dating app now, and they're all into like some sick shit, way more than just a few years ago.
Yeah.
So I wonder if this is sort of, for some people, the next evolution of it when we talk about like AGPs and stuff. That they've been through every porn, they've been through every woman, and what's the next thing they can do?
Yeah, I think, especially for straight men, I believe that that's true. We know that AGPs have been around, or very much recorded into the 19th century. So autogynephiles have been around for a very, very long time. And I don't even think that autogynephilia in itself is like predatory. If you're doing it on your own time and you're not trying to come into my locker rooms or jails, I don't give a fuck what you do. But yeah, I definitely think with like men, quote straight men trying to, you know, have sex with all the chasers trying to have sex with all these trans men, definitely has to do with porn. I think it definitely has to do with porn. I mean, even gay men also, like, it just, you want to get more exotic you know, things. You want to introduce more crazier things. So
They're all into some weird ass shit.
oh, I know. My best friend shows me his grinder, and it's like only into scat play. I want to watch you masturbate in an alley. Like
It's so horrible. And I don't know why, like the last year or two, I finally realized I need to just say no to this from now on. I seem to be a bit of a magnet for like confused straight men. Never again.
oh, but you guys like that. You guys like
Not
that stuff.
anymore. They're more
Okay,
trouble than
you age out of it. Yeah, you age out of it. I bet. Yeah, yeah,
And I
yeah.
think I just hit, it was just my birthday. I've now hit that age where I'm like, I don't give a fuck anymore. You think gay men are so horrible, and you're like, no, the only thing worse, straight men.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, there is.
I tried to hit James's comment. Mike, I think you may agree too that within the modern culture, so many of these hyper woke people want to control everything, especially the conversations. A lot of people are scared to break the narrative.
Isn't it crazy that such a small population have gaslit such a huge population? Like it really is so crazy. And you know, in my video essay I talk about self-ID. The self-ID laws being that you can just declare yourself a woman and get access to whatever space you want. It's really not that identifying as some gender, it's that you are forcing everyone to identify you as that as well. Like nobody can say no, I don't see you as a woman. Like that's, you can't do that.
And I say this all the time, but I think that is the single biggest problem in culture. That's what's brought all of this about, is that people just refuse to say no. They will just go along with anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you so much, my love. Mikey, don't you want the nose job from that Jubilee thumbnail? That was the video you're in. Do you know that Jubilee channel on YouTube?
Yeah, I've been in a couple of their videos.
Really? Oh my God, I was in one. I got stuck doing the stupid virtual one. I didn't get to go to like the warehouse.
Oh.
But so anyway, I'm thinking, I filmed it. I'm thinking, oh, I did a good job, blah, blah, blah. It comes out. They photoshopped my face on the cover. I'm half Jewish, by the way. So I'm like, I feel like this, as they would say, would be problematic. They photoshopped my nose like this. My nostrils were like quarters.
What video were you in?
It was like 2020 Trump versus Biden, middle ground.
Oh, that's, oh geez, yeah. I was in Disney adults and sex workers. That was when I was doing sex workers.
Why Disney adults with sex workers?
No, it wasn't the same thing. It wasn't.
Well, some of them, I could see them being quite popular.
Wait, that's actually so funny. Get Disney adults and sex workers.
Speaking of sick shit.
Holy shit, that is so fucking funny. But that gave me some of the worst body dysmorphia. They attached the mic on like the small of my back on my dress, and I turned to the side, it completely got rid of like the curve of my body and just made me look like a box. I was suicidal when that video came out. I was like, oh bro, I'm ending it. It was brutal. It was brutal.
What was the video? Like, I mean, what did you have to do in it?
Oh, it was the odd one out.
Oh, so it was.
We had to find the fake Disney fan.
Wait, so Disney fans and they're separate videos.
Yes, they're separate videos.
I thought there were separate groups in the same video. Okay,
No.
I got you.
Yeah, separate videos.
Were you the odd one out in the Disney fan, or are you a Disney fan?
Oh no, I'm a Disney fan. I'm a big Disney fan.
Still?
Yeah, I am.
I miss the good old Disney days.
Yeah, completely. I will. I'm still like a Disneyland fan. I really like Disneyland. The new Disney movies are sort of they're not great. I do miss the golden age of Disney with like, you know, I mean the Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty, like all of those things, the Disney like Renaissance or whatever was great, but even like Fox and the Hound was great. All of the 90s video, you know, those were really great. The Goofy movie was really great, but
a Goofy movie.
Yeah.
That had the best soundtrack ever.
Yeah. The Goofy movie, yeah, it really did have the best soundtrack. God. They completely fucked it up though. Dude, Lin-Manuel Miranda has ruined every single Disney movie for the past 5 years. He should be put in jail.
What did he? I don't think I barely even see any of the reasons. What did he write? Oh, he did Moana, I think. Right?
He did Moana. He did Raya. I think he did. I mean, he's done so many of them. He's like gay Broadway Tyler Perry. It makes me want to die. And Miranda Disney. Yeah, he did like a couple. I think he did Aladdin, the live action Aladdin.
Oh God, that was horrible.
Dude, it's just so bad. He's so bad. Encanto, he did. It's just bad. It's just he's awful.
Yeah. We didn't know how good we had it back then with the entertainment sort of stuff. Like I was thinking about these shows. They used to have all these like spooky shows for kids when I was growing up, like Are You Afraid of the Dark or Eerie, Indiana.
Oh yeah.
They don't have anything. It's weird because now it's like, yes,
yeah.
Now it's like they won't show kids any sort of intelligent, semi-edgy stuff like that, but they'll just have, you know, naked drag queens twerking in front of them.
With their whole like fake chest plate boobs out. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. He did Mary Poppins Returns.
Dude. He's ruined everything in my life.
I thought that was like meh.
I'm ordering a hit out for Lin-Manuel. He's ruined my life.
You're gonna get one of these people making a video about you now. She tried to put a hit on Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Yeah, I know.
She tried to kill Hamilton.
Yeah. And isn't he black? I'm racist. Now I'm racist because
I think he's fake black. I think he's like khaki.
Let's see, Lin-Manuel Miranda.
He's not black. He just talks like he just wants people to think that he is.
Oh, he's Puerto Rican, Mexican, African. So he's just, I guess, a bunch of things.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, 80s, 90s culture. That was like the peak of humanity. I think early 2000s was sort of the last sort of cool things too.
Yeah, I liked Moana. Moana wasn't bad.
I never saw it.
You should watch it. It's not that bad. Yeah, it made me cry. So, but most things.
Remember all those like dark Disney movies from the 80s, like Fox and the Hound, The Black Cauldron, Great Mouse Detective.
Yes. All Dogs Go to Heaven. That one was like dark.
All of them are. Did you guys ever see? It wasn't Disney. Did you guys ever see this movie? Oh, I forget the name of it. It was like there were roosters, and there was a rooster who wanted to be Elvis. And it was very dark. There were like people, and their house burned down, and they were like lost in the wilderness. So then they get to like Chicken Las Vegas. I swear I didn't hallucinate this. If somebody in the chat knows what I'm talking about.
Wanting to be Elvis.
Chicken Elvis cartoon. It was a musical too. Rockadoodle! Oh my god. See, this is why you guys are
This
Rockadoodle.
Looks scary.
It was so scary. Everything that Don Bluth guy did was really scary.
This looked like a fever dream.
What?
That is so weird.
Did you ever have?
Jeez.
Did you ever have? You might be too young for this, but did you ever see the We Sing videos?
No.
Those were very fever dream like. They were basically furries. They were basically people in furry costumes. It was very scary.
oh yeah, no, I never saw that. I really like Thumbelina, but Thumbelina's not Disney, I don't think.
Wasn't what's her name? Charo was in that.
Who?
Right? Remember Charo?
No.
Gucci Gucci? The Gucci Gucci lady.
Oh yes.
Look,
Yes.
what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah. I was like, what are you talking about? But yes, yes, that was Charo as the frog.
Yeah.
As
I
the
used to love her.
holy
I never saw Anastasia. I need to.
Anastasia's good. That's a really good one.
Yeah, I've heard it was really good. Oh, Lamb Chop. I met her when I was a kid before she died.
Oh no.
The Lamb Chop. Do you remember Lamb Chop?
Oh.
It was like a sock puppet. Well, I don't want to keep you here all night. So if anybody has any remaining super chats, burning questions, send them our way. Oh my God, I forgot Pretty Woman was a Disney movie. That's right.
Wait, really?
Well, like the spin-off Disney.
Oh, yeah. Weird. That's not very.
When's your video essay coming out?
I'm hoping for early next week. It's gonna take a second. It's gonna be on YouTube, and it's about, the title is The Gender Thing.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, so it's gonna be all about gender, and why I don't think any of this gender identity ideology stuff holds up.
I like that.
Yeah.
You gotta send me your channel, so I'll send it to people. We gotta subscribe.
Sure, yeah, it's youtube.com/Phemoid, I guess.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
When you guys are looking at this after, I'll pin it below. I always forget YouTube actually made it convenient now that they have the little handles.
Yeah. But it was fun talking to you.
It was so much fun talking to you. You are awesome. Like, screw the haters. This was so much fun.
Yeah, this was great. And
I hope you get asked back on the whatever show, because I would love that.
I think I'm going back on in June.
Yes.
Yeah,
Tell him he needs to have a gay show so I can put all those homos in their place.
I think that would actually be so funny.
He'll be sitting there scared.
Yeah, that'll be.
You'll just see flames burning.
Yeah, that'll be actually hilarious. I'll tell him. I'll tell him he has to have a homo show.
Yes.
Homo show.
Well, thank you guys so much for watching us. I'm going to be back on Monday with Gothics. Subscribe to all my stuff. Subscribe to all this lovely ladies' stuff. And thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much. All right, talk to you later.
I'll talk to you soon, man.